Hi everyone. A few months back, the hairdressing community was saddened by the passing of Trevor Sorbie MBE, a true legend in our industry. Trevor was very dear to my heart, and he played a huge role in mentoring not only myself, but countless other people in the industry. The hairdresser's hairdresser, whose wisdom, creativity and passion will live on through us all. In 2023, Trevor was given a Lifetime Achievement Award by the Fellowship to honour his services to our industry, handed to him by his close friend and client Lorraine Kelly in front of a packed audience of hairdressing royalty, a truly special moment. A few years ago, myself, Errol Douglas MBE and Trevor took part in an interview called Life Stories, where we each look back on our respective careers, the moments and people who have helped shape us along the way. In order to celebrate Trevor's inspirational life, we thought it was time to restream the best highlights from his episode again and let him tell his incredible story once more. The interview was conducted by Trevor's close friend, Maria Wires, former editor of Hairdressers Journal and Salon Business magazine. We hope you enjoy the show.
I'm Maria Wires, and I'm honoured, delighted and so excited to be here tonight with you, Mr. Trevor Sorbie MBE, to talk about your extraordinary life story. Now, Trevor, throughout your career, you've always been known as a man who looks ahead. Are you ready to start looking back?
It's been an up and down life, and I think that the highs have been high and the lows have been just as low, and I'm here to bear all, to be honest. And
well,
I think
brilliant, because we can't wait to share your life story, Trevor. On that subject, why don't we take a look at your life? Trevor John Sorbie was born in Paisley in Scotland in 1949 to parents Robert and Edna. You could say that hairdressing was in Trevor's blood, as both his father and his grandfather were barbers in the local town. Aged 11, Trevor's family moved south to Ilford in East London. Trevor found the transition difficult. He struggled at school and was bullied constantly. This eventually led to him dropping out, age 15, and going to work at his father's barbershop. Within 3 months, Trevor was cutting hair and was an absolute natural. Realising he wanted to make the transition from barbering to hairdressing, he attended the Richard Henry School of Hairdressing for 6 months, and upon graduation was quickly snapped up by Vidal Sassoon in 1972. Within a year, Trevor became an artistic director for Sassoon, helping to create stunning shows and iconic looks, such as the renowned wedge haircut in 1974. Brief stints at Tony & Guy and John Frieda followed, before Trevor opened his first salon in Covent Garden in 1979. The 80s and 90s saw an incredible host of achievements, including 4 British Hairdresser of the Year awards, a hugely successful product range, and celebrity clients including Grace Jones, Adam Ant and Sting. His stage shows, meanwhile, were the envy of the industry, with his artistic team spawning a host of future superstars. These incredible achievements were recognised in 2004 when Trevor was awarded an MBE. Just 2 years later, Trevor started My New Hair, a charity dedicated to providing support and advice for people experiencing medical hair loss. The pioneering charity has since trained a huge network of hair professionals from across the UK and Ireland, all providing a wig customisation service for their clients. Trevor's charity work was rewarded in 2017 when he received an honorary doctorate from the University of the West of Scotland. This was awarded at the Paisley campus, just a mere stone's throw from where he grew up. So, those are the major moments of Trevor Sorbie's life story. But who is the real man behind the legend? Tonight, we aim to find out just that, starting with the question, what on earth is this video clip all about? bring back some memories for you, Trevor?
Yeah, God.
Yeah. Well, I suppose hearing that, it could be, the Wikipedia of Trevor Sorbie's life. Masses of achievements, success, amazing milestones, but none of the drama. I've known you 35 years, and I've always seen your life as going from incredible highs down to crushing lows.
I think everyone thinks that success is a smooth ride up to the top. Well, I know many famous people throughout the years, and they all have had as major lows as they've had major highs. And it's part of the course. There is a price to pay for success, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, because I suffer or have suffered from depression. I remember when we started business, it wasn't going very well, and at one point, Grant, my partner at the time, business partner, was said that, Trev, within 3 months, if we don't turn a corner, we're going to have to close. And that sent me into a nosedive. And I actually went into hospital with depression to the Priory.
Did your depression start then, Trevor, or had you had a history of depression prior to that?
Well, depression's a strange thing. You can't sort of monitor it as such, but there are times when you know you're down, when you can't get out of bed in the morning and you don't shower for 3 days and you wear the same clothes because you just, there's nothing to seemingly live for. It's a horrible place to be, and I think that I have suffered from depression, but it's not every month or anything. It comes when something goes wrong.
Yes, and I've noticed, which we'll talk about a bit later, but your depression often hits when you've had an enormous high. It's very, very curious how it goes way up and then you come right down.
Yeah.
But like most celebrities, and I'm sure you're not alone by being like that, but unlike most celebrities, people describe you as, a creative genius, an innovator, a brilliant showman, inspiring educator. The list goes on and on with your professional accolades. But what about you, Trevor, as a man? If you had to have 3 words to describe yourself, how would you describe yourself personally?
Sensitive. Fragile. But hungry.
Yes.
Hungry. I'm an achiever.
Yes.
I set a goal and I get that goal.
Yes.
I won't let anything stop me.
And actually, if anyone said to me, describe Trevor Sorbie, I probably would be very close to that. I would definitely, which we'll explore a bit later, there is a beautiful childlike fragility about you. And I think that word fragile is one which we might revisit a bit later on. As we move through, shall we have a little think about your early life growing up in Paisley in Scotland? I understand it was a humble beginning, and I understand that you grew up in a tenement flat. Tell us about that. How was that? What was that like?
Well, I loved my childhood, to be honest. I didn't know anything. I had nothing to compare it with. My mum and dad, I remember one Christmas, there was mince and potatoes was the Christmas lunch.
Yep.
There was one toy that was shared between my brother and myself. I got the toy, my brother got the box.
You probably liked the box better than the toy, I would imagine.
And it was, I had a great. The funny thing was, and it caught up with me in the end, but I had a little girlfriend. I was age 11, and her name was Aileen. And I said to her, look, I have to go to London to see my uncle and auntie on a holiday, and I'll be back in 2 weeks. Well, I never went back, actually. We stayed in England.
That's because your parents moved the whole family down to Ilford.
Yeah, and I didn't know anything about that. And I think Aileen still waiting at the bus stop.
Bless her. Bless her. Tell me more about your mum and dad. What were they like as characters? I don't know much about your mum.
Yeah, Mum was the backbone of my family life. She was a mum.
Was she?
In every sense of the word, you know.
Was she the matriarch of the family, kept you all together?
Yeah. My dad, well, my dad was a bit of a womanizer, I have to say.
Right, that's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, Mum didn't know about any of that stuff, because when I was working with my dad for 5 years, I saw my real dad. We used to stop in this pub every night for a pint, but it wasn't the pint. I said, why do I have to have a drink? He said, wash the hair down.
Right.
You know, it
got
was the
his
barmaid. It was the barmaid that was, I saw that.
And that must have been quite tricky for you, keeping that to yourself without knowing that how much it would hurt your mum.
Well, my mum became everything to me, to be honest. I mean, I loved my dad, don't get me wrong, but there was that flaw in his personality that wasn't right for mum and dad, you know. I always...
Did your mother, how much of your success did your mother get to see?
Not enough.
Not enough?
Not enough.
No.
I remember, this is hard. This is hard.
Do you want me to come back to it?
No, I'll spit it out. My mum said to me, I've got to go to hospital, I've got an appointment. And I said, I'll come with you. And I took her and Harlow Hospital and got in the lift. And she said, I'm not coming out.
Oh.
I said, what do you mean? She said, I'm not coming out. I was, all right. That didn't go in. I didn't know what she meant. Next time I saw her, she was in hospital in a bed, and she was all drugged up. She didn't know anything. She was on morphine, and her legs slipped out of the bed, and it was black.
Wow.
That was the last time I could watch.
Oh, bless you.
Couldn't handle it.
No. What age were you then? A teenager?
15, 16.
Oh, very young.
Yeah.
So young. So then all you had was your dad and your brother.
Yeah.
Because I know your brother is Mike, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I understand he lives up in the hills of Northumberland.
Yeah.
And he has a very different life to you.
Yeah.
Yeah?
We're chalk and cheese, but we're as close as that.
He said that you used to rough and tumble as children. And apparently a bit of rough and tumble as adults isn't unfamiliar to you, I understand.
I know.
Yeah, tell me the story. You're about to travel somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And you had a bit of a play fight, but
That's
what
right.
happened?
Yeah, he went into my body and broke a rib.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, we used to get it on, you know. It was...
So it was a bit more than a rough and tumble.
Oh, yeah, Mike was strong.
Was he?
I mean, he's a tough boy. He's as soft as putty. You know, the gentle giant story, that's Mike. I mean, he could take anyone on. And he used to protect me a lot, because at the bottom of the street in Paisley, there was a gang called the Black Hall Gang, and they hated us, me and my brother. And one day, we had a confrontation with like 4 of them, and Mike just stood in front of me. He says, come on. And he was protecting me. And he would have taken them, and they backed off.
How much older is he than you, Trevor?
3 years.
3 years older than you.
Yeah.
So he was a really good protective big brother then.
I can't say enough about him.
And this bullying business, which we mentioned earlier, were you bullied in Scotland then as well, or
No.
just down here?
Down here, because I
Down
had a
here.
Scottish accent.
Is that what people didn't like?
Yeah, I was different, you know, accent-wise.
Right.
And, you know, hey, all right, Stuart, you know, all that stuff. And it used to get me, because being sensitive, you know, I took it on board, and I actually tried to lose my accent.
But you have lost it now, haven't you?
Yeah, I have.
So a combination of that horrible bullying and you having 0 interest in academic work, it saw you leaving school age 15 in favour of going to work for your father's barbershop. Did you take to that straight away, Trevor?
Yeah, well, first of all, just going back a little bit, I wanted to be an artist, and that was my first love. I love painting, and I won a competition for Brook Bond PG Tips. I drew a Scottish soldier, and I won first prize. And, you know, I was right into it, but the bullying got on top of me. And my dad said, well, what are you going to do, son? And I said, well, I'll get a job in a factory like my mates. And he said, well, come in the barber shop and see how you get on. Within 3 months, I was cutting hair. I found it easy. My dad was a good hairdresser.
Was he?
Really, really good. And he taught me the disciplines in hairdressing. He could do an American flat top haircut with scissors and comb. Most hairdressers, most barbers would use a machine. But he would do it scissors and comb.
Wow.
He did it the hard way, and he taught me the hard way.
Wow.
So that was my basic training.
So out of interest, your grandfather was a barber?
Yeah.
So did your grandfather teach your father, and your father taught you?
Yeah. My grandfather was a professor of hair in the college in Glasgow.
Was he?
Yeah, he was right up there.
So it's in the genes then,
In
Trevor?
the blood.
It's in the genes. So it was a bit of a funny 5 minutes, wasn't there, when you decided that you were going to say goodbye to hairdressing?
Yeah.
And you were going to be, I think you'll find, a salesman for Gillette, is that right?
Yeah.
What was you thinking there?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I got bored cutting men's hair because in those days, all I was getting were factory workers from Ford Motor Company. And in those days, it was short back and sides. There was only one haircut. And just talking to, you know, drunk old men every day and, you know, they're picking up girly magazines, and I thought, God, is this hairdressing, you know? So I quit, and I went for a job as a rep. I remember the interview, a big London hotel, and all these guys sitting around all smart, and I thought, oh, blimey, I got no chance. And the guy sort of asked me a series of questions, and he says, well, what's your qualifications, Mr. Sorbie? I said, well, I got an A in maths, a B in English, a geography, a C, and he knew I was lying. I mean, I couldn't pull it off, you know, I couldn't.
Because you're too honest.
Yeah.
Too grounded.
Yeah. I didn't even want a job. I wanted the car that came with the job.
Oh,
that was the motivation.
I see, but you didn't get the car.
I didn't
get the job.
Yeah, so I went back and I said, Mum, Dad, I said, I want to go back into hairdressing, but I don't want to do just men's. I want to learn ladies.
Yeah. And I understand you went to the Richard Henry School of Hairdressing in London, erstwhile establishment. At that time, that must have been what, late 60s?
Yeah.
Of course, that was the most electrifying time in the world of hair and fashion, wasn't it?
It wasn't just hairdressing. At that time in the 60s, there was the music industry, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, they were all brand new. Photography, there was David Bailey, Donovan, you know, there was fashion, Mary Quad, Bill Gibb, and it was a movement that was happening in the 60s, and hairdressing was part of that, thanks to Vidal Sassoon.
Did you feel really like you were at the heart of it?
I loved it.
Because some people, when I've spoken to them, they say, oh, I didn't really know it was happening at the time.
Oh, no, I did.
You did?
I used to come out of Baker Street tube station, and I used to walk up Baker Street to the Richard Henry School, and there was a shop midway called Crimpers, and there was all these guys in flares and big kipper ties, and they're all cutting hair, and I thought, oh, God, that looks so cool. I want to be like that.
And that's what you were heading towards. Yeah.
It inspired me. I wanted to be a part of this explosion.
Well, it was very insightful then of the principal of the hairdressing school who saw something special in you, didn't they? And they said, Trevor, once you've graduated, you need to aim high. You need to go somewhere really special. And it's that time, then you were snapped up. You've already mentioned the name. You were snapped up by Vidal Sassoon. Is that right? Tell me about that.
Well, the principal of the college was a man called Martin Gottlieb. Unfortunately, he passed away. But he saw something in me, and I didn't see it in myself. He says, I see something special in you. And he said, I want you to go to a good good name. And he said, either Helena Rubinstein or Vidal Sassoon. I said, Vidal Sassoon. And he sent me there. And within 18 months, and it was tough, they really put you through the pain barriers at Sassoon's training to be a stylist.
Well, you clearly made the mark, because it wasn't very long until you rose to a higher rank, was it? I think you became an art director pretty early on.
That's right, yeah.
But what was it like then? Because when you look back and imagine all of those haircuts being conceived, things like the Firefly, for example, which was revolutionary in its time.
Yeah.
You must have been there when that happened.
Yeah, I was. I remember the day very well. Christopher Brooker, who was the main artistic director over all the other art directors, and he brought this model in with the agent, and it was a young girl with hair down to here, and her name was, well, a trade name was Firefly. I don't even know what her real name was. And he said, I want you to give her a new look, to Christopher. And Christopher disappeared up into the 4th floor. He took her up there, and he was up there for 7 hours.
Wow.
And I thought, what the bloody hell is he doing up there for 7 hours? Anyway, she came down with this haircut, and it was right off and, sweep. And everyone just went, wow, that's worth 7 hours of work. And that was, I was there, I saw history.
Incredible.
I was present in that space.
Well, I hope you got the same applause when you did the wedge, because you did that at Sassoon in '74, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, that happened because Vidal, it was his first show in Paris, and he wanted his art team to do a new collection. So all the art directors got busy in trying to invent new haircuts. And I had this model called Mary, who unfortunately again has passed away. And I said, look, Mary, I want to do a really strong haircut on you. It's like a bowl. And it's going to be one length. And she went, all right. She was up for anything. And I did this haircut, and I thought, oh, God. I said, I like it. I thought, but the French won't, because the French want a woman to look French.
A la la lou.
And I thought, oh, this ain't going to work. Anyway, I thought, I'll see what I can get out of it. So I brushed it back on both sides, and this hair just went whoomp. And I went, whoa. And I said, Christopher was in the salon, South Moulton Street salon at the time, and I said, Christopher, come over here and have a look and see, what do you think for the collection? And he went, love it, absolutely love it. He said, we're going to get it photographed, and and it was the first haircut that ever got a full page in English Vogue.
Wow.
And it was quite accidental, to be honest. I was salvaging a haircut, but I'll take full credit for it.
Well, you take that credit, Trevor. But you know what? Something I learned from you is when we do stage shows for Salon International, I always remember hearing you say to all the young ones out in the audience, listen, learn your craft, because you have to learn all the rules before you know how to break them.
Absolutely.
And so that's clearly what happened with that haircut. You knew all the rules, and you kind of broke them, but by accident, if that makes sense.
Many an invention has been an accident. I mean, I've always said, I'd never stop hairdressing, even when I'm not hairdressing. I have a little antenna that's always up, and it's always looking at a plant, a material, a fabric, anything that goes, oh, I can do that. I could make hair do that.
Yeah.
And it's always on the lookout.
That's because you're a true creative, Trev, that's why.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
All I can say is I look like nobody.
Now, how on earth do you manage to be such a personable man and to take the role of being good cop, bad cop, when you've got people who have done something that really isn't hitting the spot?
Yeah.
How do you do that? Is it
I can answer that quite easily. It's called honesty.
honesty?
And I've many times had what I thought was honesty, but it isn't. I'd say to somebody, what do you think of that? And because I am who I am, they go, oh, that's great. I said, no, it's not. What's wrong with it? Tell me. Be honest. Oh, no, it's really nice. Honestly, Trev, I love it. And I know it's not great. I know what's great. I know what's right. But I hadn't reached that, you know, and I will never, ever praise anyone just to make them feel good.
Feel good.
Sometimes in life you have to be really firm with yourself and firm to somebody else, because that is good teaching. That is being a good teacher.
Well, on that then, because you just said you have to be really firm with yourself,
Yeah.
is that one of the reasons, because I've seen you before stage shows, is that one of the reasons you get such high anxiety? You get incredibly anxious and highly strung just before a show.
Yeah.
Is that because you're so hard on yourself? Is your expectation of yourself so fierce?
Yeah. It's horrible being me before a show. I remember once in, I think it was Atlanta, I was so scared to go on stage. I always used to have a ritual, go into the bathroom in the hotel, look at myself in the mirror and talk and say, right, Trev, I'll go downstairs and knock the socks off. And if you don't bother coming back. And on this one occasion, I got my finger and I put it on the sink. I thought, I'm going to break this so I don't have to go on stage.
Seriously?
Yeah, I was serious. And I was like, then I thought, hang on a sec, the pain of this is not going to be as painful as going on stage. So I went on stage and it went really well.
Because I've got to tell you, I don't know how many times you've said to me, Maria, this is it, this is going to be my last show.
Yeah.
That's it, it's my last show, I'm not doing them anymore. And then you do go on and do another one, which, by the way, is always better than the one before.
Yeah. But that's the problem. You see, Maria, when I was growing up, if you like, in hairdressing and ladies' hairdressing, there was no pressure on me. Even my first show in Vidal Sassoon, I was up there with a team of 5, 6 other hairdressers, and they were all more known than me. I was the new boy, and I didn't feel the same pressure as they did. But as your reputation grows, so does the expectation level grow. And if somebody's paying £100 to come and see you, they want £100 worth of you. And that's the pressure. That's when the pressure cooker starts bubbling. Because what do they want? You know, what are they expecting? And I'm expecting to be unexpected and higher than they're expecting. That's my goal, up there. And that's the only place to aim at, above their expectations on the hair.
I remember seeing a show of yours where you had models that looked on stage as if they were sitting in midair.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
And I thought, how the heck has he done that?
Yeah.
How the heck has he done that? And you know, it was only about 2 years later that I saw exactly that on Brighton Seafront. And I thought, whoa, he must have seen something somewhere. Where did you see that?
In Covent Garden, there's a lot of street entertainers. And I saw this crowd around this one person I couldn't see because of all the people. But he was sitting in midair. I thought, well, how the hell does that work? And people were looking underneath and looking for how it was done. And it's a very simple thing, you know. I loved that. I thought that, you know, that's fascinating. And look at the impact it has. So I went to these prop makers and I said, look, this is the idea. Can you make, this for a stage? And they did, and that's what you saw. And interestingly enough, when the show was over, half the crowd went backstage, and they weren't allowed to see, because we covered them all so nobody could see backstage.
Yeah.
And they're all looking and shooting cameras up to see how it was done.
Yeah. And still none the wiser.
And still not know. And I thought it was actually one of the best things I've done.
I loved it.
It was simple.
Yeah. Simple.
In actual fact, the idea was better than the hair. It really was.
But it's the simplicity that works, isn't it?
You know what, Maria? Some of the best ideas
The
are dead simple.
ones.
And I've always remember these words, and I've said it many times on stage. Charlie Chaplin would say, "Doing what I do is easy. Thinking of what I do is difficult."
That's right.
And
That's right.
that's it in a nutshell.
So you
Never
had your brush with Italy, doing some work out there in Milan. I think it will come that was in the Sassoon days. I think it'll come as a surprise to some people to know that you also spent a few months working at the Italian company Toni & Guy, didn't you?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, when I came back from Mexico, I didn't know where to go, and I thought, Toni & Guy. I mean, I saw them coming up, especially Anthony. And I worked there, and Anthony was my assistant, actually. He used to hand up to me. But I saw something in him that was special, that he didn't obviously see in himself. And he used to sketch things, and I used to look at him and think, nice, very nice. And I saw a talent there. I can spot talent like that.
Like that.
It's not difficult for me anyway.
Well, you spotted the talent, but did you spot the fact that given time, the pair of you would end up, between you, winning British Hairdresser of the Year 7 times between you?
He's one of us, He's one of the boys.
How do you feel about his work, Trevor?
Oh, I mean, what I like about him, not only with his work, but how he's developed into photography. When he first started doing photographs, they were pretty groundbreaking, in my opinion. So he's developed into, and what I like about him, unlike me, he's actually quite a good businessman. And I'm not at all.
You opened your salon, didn't you, in '79? Mm-hmm. How did you find that then? Because you're now a businessman, really, with a salon. How did you balance that? How did you get on with that?
Well, I've never balanced it. I hate business. It's bad for me. I used to sit in, what's the word?
Board meetings?
Yeah, board meetings and accounts meetings and that. And everyone's around and got computers out and that, and I had a pad, and all I used to do was just draw hairstyles as they were talking about stuff. Yeah. And I used to agree with it, but I didn't know what I was agreeing to. I don't like it. I don't want to be a businessman because I'm not good at it. And if I'm not good at it, I'll find somebody that is good at it. I've never woken up for £1.
Your reward is in the achievement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wake up to be as best as I can be at hairdressing. That's what will make the money.
And of course, it must be difficult for you because you were so damn good throughout those 80s and 90s when you were reaching your zenith. Not saying you're not there now, but at that time I was there. Yeah. And on all of that media coverage, TV appearances, worldwide shows, standing ovations. I handed you the British Hairdresser of the Year award 4 times, unheard of. The brand development, the American business. You had grew to 6 salons. I remember the education facility you had in Savile Row. Yeah. You totally were the king of the castle, Trevor. How the heck did you manage to cope with all of that and all of the demands that people put upon you?
One word, hairdressing. I just focused on my job. My job was to take this company creatively to this level in my head. And that was my job, my focus. And all of that had to be taken care of by other people. And I didn't let it get into me. It did affect me, but not like, I used to put a glass wall up. And it did get penetrated from time to time, but it didn't take me off that course.
Your total focus.
I was laser beamed into it, and that kept me straight and narrow.
So when you were doing all of that, trying so many different things, it was nothing professionally that made you buckle. It's your personal life, isn't it?
Yeah. I didn't buckle under business, I buckled under personal problems.
So if you were to go back in time, Trevor, is there any advice you'd give yourself now as a younger man? Watch out for this or look out for that?
Oh, yeah. Never believe everything you read in a newspaper. Never believe anything you see on TV. And make your own assumptions.
I think you're heading towards that absolutely hideous time when you were the victim of a kiss and tell.
Yeah.
Is that where you're going with this?
Yeah.
That was horrific, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to know the story first. I had a client, very friendly with her, and she knew I was separated from my wife for, it was 18 months I was separated. And this client of mine said, oh, I've got a friend that you might like to meet.
To date?
Yeah. And I says, nah. She said, no, she's lovely. You'll like her. All right. So I managed to create a date, and I was to meet her in the Hilton Hotel in Park Lane. And I'm standing there, and I don't know who I'm looking for. I'm standing there, there's people walking around all over the place. Anyway, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I looked around, and it was her. Oh, you Trevor? Yeah, are you? Yeah. Oh, nice to meet you. Would you like a drink? So I went downstairs to the cocktail bar, and the first set of words that came out of her, do you eat healthily? I went, no. Oh. Do you exercise much? I went, no. And I thought, well, this ain't going to go far, this. It was right not up my street at all. And it was boring, you know. It was not going to happen ever. And I said, would you like another one? And she'd only had a little bit out, and mine was dry. I said, well, I'm going to go and get another one. So I went to the bar and ordered a drink. And this young blonde-haired girl came up and stood beside me ordering her drink. And she said, are you Trevor Sorbie? I went, yeah. She said, she had a Swedish girl, and she had this accent. She said, oh, I used to watch you on television on Style Challenge. You're so funny, and I'd really enjoyed you, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, well, you know, thank you very much, and that. She said, would you like to have a drink with me? I said, look, hang on. Can you give me a few minutes? Just got to say goodbye to somebody, and I'll be back down. So I went back to my date. And she was like, finished her drink. She said, should we go and have something to eat? I said, you know what? I said, I just ate before I came. I said, I skipped the meal. I said, we'll do that some other time. I said, anyway, I've got to go anyway. So I said, I'll see you into a taxi, and off she went. I mean, I didn't want to hurt her feelings, but I think I did, not intentionally. And she went off. So I raced back downstairs, and I said, wait, you. So we had a drink and that, and then I said to her, can I see you again? And she said, yeah. So I said, all right. I said, I'll cook you dinner. So she said, oh, that'd be nice. So it was a Saturday night, and I picked her up and brought her back to my flat. And I cooked her a very nice dinner. And we got on very well, laughing and joking and that. And one of the things led to another, okay? And had a great night. And off she went. And that was it, really. And I was doing a TV thing up north, and I had a phone call. I was just about to get on the train, and it was a journalist, and he said, do you know this girl? I forget her name even. So I said, and I did know who he was talking about. I said, no. He says, well, we think you do. I said, well, what makes you think that? He says, because she's got a telephone number for you, and there's a piece of headed note on a piece of headed notepaper. And I went, all right. So anyway, I got on the train and I started shaking, and I thought, anyway, I went to this guy and I said, look, I think somebody's got something on me, and can you get rid of him? And he couldn't. And next thing I know, I got a telephone call. It was my wife at the time, and she said, have you read the newspaper? And I said, what? No. She said, go and get it. So I went, all right. So I went and got it, News of the World, and I brought it back and I opened it up. Centre pages, TV crimper cheats on wife. Mm-hmm. Oh, God. And I read it. And I went into a spin. I went into a complete, I had a panic attack. I couldn't stop shaking. My body was quivering all over. I thought, I don't want to be here. I just don't want to be on this earth right now. And I went straight to the cabinet, and I got a bottle of wine, and I just dumped it down me. And I was getting all woozy and stuff, and I got another one, and I just downed that. And I thought, I'm going to wake up soon. This is not happening. And next thing I know, cars are pulling up, my business partner, my wife, my daughter, my PR, all pulled up, all clamoring in their flat. And I was just like all over the place. And the next thing I know, I'm being dragged out in a car, and next thing I know, I'm in a hospital, and I'm in a little room, and I thought, what the hell's happening to me? You know, this is, I can't take this. This is not right. And I thought, I've got to get out of here, go home. So I had somebody packed a bag for me. I just packed it up, and I went to the lift to get out. And there was 3 guys standing at the lift. I said, excuse me, guys. And they said, where are you going? I said, well, I'm going home. And they said, no, you're not. I said, bloody well I am, mate. I said, it's not a prison. He says, for you, it is. You're sectioned. I went, what? And they kept me in that hospital, and I was in there a month. I was drugged up to the eyeballs, and it was
awful.
It was the worst experience I've ever had in
your whole
life.
Yeah.
I wanted not to be here.
Yeah. And for a man who's fragile, for a man who has got his demons in depression, Trevor, that must have pretty much polished you off.
I'll never forget it.
No. Can you remember much about that month? Or
well,
only that you were drugged out of your eyeballs?
Glimpses of it.
So how did you get out of this? How did you ever get any balance back?
Well, you got me out.
Well, yes, I did. And you called me on a Saturday afternoon and said, Maria, you've got to help me. You've got to get me out of here. And I said, Trevor, where are you? And you said, I don't know where I am. I'm in a place that's... I remember you saying, I'm in a place with locked doors. And I thought, I don't like the sound of this. And I said, you know, I tried to sort of calm you down as best I could. And I said, I'll be there. I didn't know if I could get there because I didn't know where you were, but I just wanted you to have some sort of comfort blanket. And through good old journalistic skills came to the fore. And by phoning around and getting hold of as many people as I could, your ex-wife included, located where you were and what you were doing.
But do you know what worried me the most? Is what people would think of me. I just thought my staff would go, phew, and I thought my clients wouldn't come in. I thought I've just ruined my life.
Yeah.
On one night, I've just ruined my bloody life.
And someone absolutely shafting you.
Yeah.
Absolutely shafting you. And I think you also held, another thing that just occurred to me, you held the Queen's warrant at the time, didn't you?
Not quite.
You did have it, didn't you?
No, not quite. When I got the MBE at the Palace, my name was called out and I had top hat and tails and all that. And I went up to her, Majesty, and she said, I understand you do some rather strange hairstyles.
Oh, that's nice.
What? I said, well, no, Your Majesty, I try and create some new ideas with hair. She said, I've seen you on television, you're very good at what you do. I said, oh, thank you very much, thank you. And that was it. Now, she said, we must have a chat one day soon. I went, all right. I thought, I'm busy, but yeah,
yes, fair enough.
Anyway, she has a way of getting rid of you. She shakes your hand, but she just gives you a nudge. Just
she
a little.
push you out.
In other words, bugger off, you've had your 10 minutes.
That's it, you're done.
Yeah, off you go. And
Are you told about that?
No.
You just feel it?
Oh, you know it. you don't question it. You're just like, oh, time to go. So off I went, and wonderful day, wonderful, never forget it. See, these are the highlights that it brings it right for me. You know, all right, I hit that, but boy, I get that in
And then
reward.
you get the MBE, imagine that.
Yeah, I get that as a reward for something, you know.
Yeah.
And it brings it all right for me. I can deal with, well, I can't really deal with that, but it gives me a reason to go on.
Yes.
A reason to go on.
Absolutely right. And of course, you did so many celebrities as well, didn't you, through that time?
Yeah.
Any funny stories yourself, Trevor, from celebrities you've done? I hear you had a close call once with Helen Mirren.
Oh, yeah. Helen came to me. She was doing this Crime Suspect series where she plays a policewoman, and they wanted me to cut her hair. And I obviously couldn't be anything trendy or anything, so I gave her this sort of little page boy haircut. And it was fitting for her part. And I did that right the way through the series. Anyway, she came to me after Crime Suspect finished, and she was in another film, which I can't even remember the name, but she wanted her hair cut in a different way. So I did that haircut on her, and she was pleased with that. Anyway, about a year or two later, they came back and said, oh, we're doing I think a 2-part serial on Crime Suspect again. So they said, Trev, would you give her the same haircut? And I went, yeah. She said, no problem. So she came in, and I picked it up here, and normally I would start sort of there or at the back, but I started on the top, and I started cutting, and I thought, shit, I'm giving her the wrong haircut. This is the one for the film.
This isn't the prime suspect.
Oh, no. So I didn't let on. I said, you know what, Helen, I said, a few years have passed since the actual program was on. I said, I think we have to update it a little bit. So I still had enough length to give her the sort of rough outline of Page Boy, but it was layered all inside.
With a roughed up interior.
Yeah. And I said, so you see, it's more up to date, and it's right that you've moved on, you know, and so is the program.
Oh, yes, Trevor.
So she, I think you're dead right.
Clever of you. How clever of you.
Yeah.
Very creative of you.
Perceptive of you. Yeah, so I got all the praise, but I got out there and I went, whoa, I got away with that one.
You got away with it.
Yeah, she's lovely. And you know, bless her heart, I was doing a charity event one day in the salon, and she walked in out of the blue, I didn't even know, and she came in and she dropped £200 check on, she said, there's that for your charity.
Brilliant.
It's a lovely,
brilliant.
lovely lady.
Lovely. All of these inspirational hairdressers you've had in your team are incredible, Trevor. When we look at the roll call of people who come under the Trevor Sorbie mantle.
You see, my philosophy is to grow people, not put people down. And I hope I don't ruffle feathers here, but in a lot of cases, the name above the door will always be the man or the woman in charge, and you can't get past that because you can't. Well, I think you can, and I think I'm the only there to be topped again, and there's one man that has topped me 10 times over, and he's not a hairdresser. He's more than that. He's an artist. He's a genius. He's everything I can think of that supersedes greatness, and that is Angelo Seminara.
That's your boy, Angelo Seminara.
That's my boy.
That's your boy, isn't it?
I'd put my life on the line for him to come out with the next amazing, gobsmacking idea.
Yes, which he does. And I know that you two are like that.
Every week we're on the phone. Yeah. I mean, the last conversation I had with him, I was on the phone for about an hour with him and giving him my advice, and and vice versa. He tells me where I'm going wrong and stuff, and we're honest. We're just dead honest,
So your relationship started with a phone call, I understand.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. I was at home one night and phone rang, picked it up, and he says, my name is Angelo Seminara. I want to work for you. I said, hang on a second. I said, first of all, how did you get my number? Don't worry about it. I said, well, actually, I do, Angelo. Yeah, I said, look, if you want to work for me, there's a process you have to go through. And basically, you have to come to London, you have to do a trade test, and then we train you, and then you take a final test, and, you either work for me or you don't. And to this day, his final test was the best to this date.
Really?
And that's 25 years ago. Everything was black and white. The hair was black and white, but
nice.
Beautiful. The dress was all black and white. It's simple, but it was perfect.
And
the haircuts were just dynamic. After the taste, precision, class, imagination, all in one. I looked at the first 3 models out of 9, and I thought, he's flown it already,
And yet, ironically, I've heard that when he came to very early doors to do an initial test, he was seen by Sally and your manager, Kevin.
Yeah.
And that Angelo had wrapped the hair in cling film. And they thought, what the hell is that all about? Was that right? So there must have been something that you saw there and then. I thought, hello, what have we got here?
Yeah, exactly. What have we got here? That's what I thought. I thought, hang on, He's going beyond. He's already ahead of the game. He's got an imagination. He's got creativity. He's got something special. You know, I didn't ask him to do it. I didn't even know what he was going to do. But there, told me one thing.
Yeah,
this guy's got.
He's got it.
He sees the future.
Yeah. So how did you feel when the terrible day came? I assume it was a terrible day when he said he was going to leave your company. What was that like?
He came up to me one day and said, "Oh, Trevor, can I have a word in private?" I said, "Actually, you caught me at a bad moment. Can, talk later?" Anyway, about 2 days later, he came back and said, "Can I talk?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm going to leave." He says, "I've been offered a job with a company in Italy called Davinis, and they've offered me something. I have to think about my family, my future." And I said, "Angela, God bless you. Make it work. I will give you all my love, and I'll help you in any which way I can in the future." And we parted. It had to come. I mean, I would have pushed him out the door to make him go and do even better, because I knew he could. You know, every mother, father that has a kid, one day they have to leave and make their own life. And I knew that time would come. Dreaded the day, but I was glad that it did come.
As we now edge towards this part of your career, with your cancer charity, My New Hair.
My brother's wife got cancer, and she said to me, "Trev, would you get me a wig, because I'm going to lose my hair and I still want to look attractive to your brother?" And I said, "Yeah, of course." And so I bought this wig and I put it on. I said, "Oh, Jackie, it still looks like a wig. Let me try and make it look more natural." And I did. And I said, "Go and have a look in the mirror, see what you think." And she did, and she just burst out tears of joy. And that's when the penny dropped for me. My whole career went voomp off to the right or left. And I thought, hang on a second, the only time I get tears is when somebody's pissed off with their haircut that I've just given them. That's the only time I see tears. But this was a different set of tears, and it affected me in the right way. And that's when I decided to do look after people that really needed some help in an area that the medical profession couldn't provide. You know, the surgeons do their job, the nurses do theirs, and there's this bit that's missing, and that's a woman with no hair is only half a woman. The confidence goes, the femininity goes, it affects their family, it affects their friends. They can't get insurance to go away. One parent family, it affects them because they can't get a job or whatever. And I try and help people in the only way I can, and that's make them look like they've always looked for all those reasons. And it's, cancer's got one horrible side to it, but it's got other horrible bits to it that we don't think of. And it takes me over. I cut wigs for people, and I don't charge a penny.
No, that's
I do it free of charge.
That's right.
And
don't just that. Not only that. Look at the thousands of hairdressers you've trained.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, L'Oreal, they're fantastic. They really support me in everything I'm doing with this. They give me a room in their academy every month, and I train 15 hairdressers per session, and they provide food and all the facilities, and they're wonderful to me. And Train Code, the wig company, I send clients there, and they're the best wigs in my opinion. And they supply all the wigs for the wig training free of charge.
Do
and
they
that's
really?
thousands and thousands of pounds over a year.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm scared to ask what it costs them, but they give these wigs free of charge so that the students, or the hairdressers rather, can practice how to cut a wig.
Yeah. So for 14 years, really, now, you've spent giving strength and confidence to women to face and fight cancer, which is incredible. And the millions of hairdressers that will end up being trained on dealing with it. We've already said you're currently undergoing treatment. You're having your chemotherapy. You know, without the beautiful, and I've been privileged to visit you, the wonderfully safe and loving bubble that Carol has really created for the pair of you, along with Lisbon, and of course the three of you. It is such a wonderfully loving home you have now. And Carol is such a stalwart to you. And I tried very hard to ask her to participate with us today, but she is your classic woman who wants to be in the background but drive and do all the work. But she has written you a little love note.
Oh, hello.
And it's my honour to read it out, Trevor. So try not please to hear my voice. Please try just to listen to the words.
Okay.
My darling Trevor, I cannot believe it's been 15 years together. How time has flown. I just want to tell you how immensely proud I am, not only of you for the man you used to be, but for the wonderful man you are today. I have witnessed over the years the consistent, arduous, daily battle you've had with yourself. Yet you've shown great strength and courage in everything you've endured. You can be the most complicated man at times, but you are truly the kindest, most caring husband and best friend I could ever have wished to share my life with. I write this letter to you with all my love and support, and thank you for simply being my Trev. Exactly. Get your tissue out.
I'm sorry.
I know. I've been having a little weep every time I've read it. Isn't that the most beautiful letter?
It's so touching, all of this. This little boy from Paisley is sitting here tonight, and he doesn't realise, and yet he's just been made to realise what an effect I've had with other people, not knowingly, but subconsciously. I've tried to help people in their chosen career, and they've succeeded because they've listened. I speak from wisdom, experience, and my job is to grow people, not to put people down, and to help people. And the most important part of what I've done in my life is to help people through the most difficult time of their life. And I know about that.
You do.
So
You
I
certainly
can
do.
honestly say that we all come on this earth to do good. Most of us do anyway. And I can leave this earth, whenever that is, that I can take it up to my mum and dad and say, look, guys, you didn't see half of it, but this is what I've done. And I hope you're proud of me because you made me.
What a legacy.
You made me.
What a legacy. Bless you.
You know something, Maria? If you walk down the street and say to anyone, would you like to be successful? There wouldn't be anyone who would say, no, I don't want to be successful. Most people want to be successful, but it's actually within reach. Is it easy? No. Is it possible? Yes. But you've really got to come from here and want it, and it's got to be a passion, and then it's highly possible. If I can do it, you can do it. Right?
Thank you. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you for being so generous. Thank you for being here tonight. It's been terrific. That's all I can say. It's been terrific. But for now, thanks for watching. Thanks to Trevor Sorbie MBE, and good night.